Hello, Daphne here with another video for you. This one is titled Palace or Castle? What's the difference? There are so many magnificent castles and palaces throughout Europe. In this post, we will be featuring my 8 favorite. But first, what is the difference between a castle and a palace? A castle is a large fortified residence or group of buildings with strong walls to defend against attacks. In their heyday, they were inhabited by a royal or noble and used as a seat from which to control the surrounding area. Castles oftentimes have moats, peepholes in the walls from which to shoot arrows, and other defensive architectural touches. They were first built by royalty during the Middle Ages throughout Europe and the Middle East. They served as fortresses to guard whoever was doing the ruling. A palace, on the other hand, is designed simply for elegance, lavishness, and luxury. No fortified walls, no moats, no cannons. Palaces were/are lived in by royalty, heads of state, or heads of a church, and are usually surrounded by lush landscape gardens. Did you know the first palaces were built on Palatine Hill in Rome? That is actually where the name palace comes from, Palatine Hill. All right, so our first stop is going to be in Germany. This castle is one of the most photographed buildings in the world, one of the 3 most magnificent palaces in Europe and maybe the world. The Sleeping Beauty castle design in Disneyland was inspired by this castle. Commissioned by King Ludwig II of Bavaria as a retreat, mind you, a humble retreat, in honor of Richard Wagner, the composer-musician. Ludwig chose to pay for the palace out of his personal fortune and by means of extensive borrowing rather than Bavarian public funds. Construction started in 1869 but was never completely finished. I tell you, I couldn't tell that it wasn't finished when we visited there a year or so ago. It is one amazing fairy tale castle. Exquisite, absolutely exquisite. But I don't know why they don't call it a palace, but they don't. They call it a castle. Everyone knows Buckingham Palace is the London residence of Queen Elizabeth, more formally known as the administrative headquarters of the monarch of the United Kingdom. Queen Elizabeth is the longest reigning queen in the history of Great Britain, outdoing her great-great-grandmother, Queen Victoria. The palace is where state occasions and royal hospitality take place. It has been a focal point for the British people at times of national rejoicing and mourning. It is during those times when we see the royal family make their appearance on the famous balcony in front of this palace. Moving on, south in Europe is the Doge's Palace, one of the most famous buildings in all of Venice, Italy. Built in the Venetian Gothic style, it is situated on the Grand Piazza San Marco, the centerpiece of Venice, and what a magnificent centerpiece it is. This palace was the home of the Doge, ruler of Venice, and the seat of power for the Venetian Republic, which lasted more than 1,000 years. The palace's architectural details are exquisite beyond description. I just love standing looking at this building because every time I do, I see something new and more special. Off we go to Vienna, Austria. Schönbrunn Palace is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and Austria's most visited tourist attraction. Since 1569, the palace served as a summer home of the famous Habsburg family. It has 1,441 rooms, of which 45 can be visited. An interesting tidbit. Do you know that Marie Antoinette, 1755 to 1793 or thereabouts, the French queen married to Louis XVI, lost her head when she was guillotined during the French Revolution. She was born an Archduchess of Austria, and this palace is where she spent her summers. I thought that was very interesting. Oh my goodness gracious, one of my favorite palaces. Oh, but there are so many, I shouldn't say it's a favorite, but it's a beauty. Versailles, a short drive outside Paris. Building such a lavish complex was an important goal of Louis XIV. That was his style of rule and his belief about the monarchy, because he thought that the King of France was the embodiment of France itself. His palace was meant to display the wealth and power of his nation. In this magnificent residence, if you can call it that, there are 2,300 rooms. One of my favorites is the exquisite Hall of Mirrors. With 357 mirrors, you can get a pretty good glimpse of yourself from any direction. All you have to do is turn around, and there you are. The Penna Palace is really interesting. The architecture of it is very different from most palaces, but it's a beauty. It is located in the municipality of Sintra on the Portuguese Riviera. This striking, multicolored castle sitting on top of a hill is a popular tourist destination. It is a national monument, and it's a major expression, I guess you'd say, of 19th century Romanticism. The palace is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the 7 wonders of the world. Oh, one of my very, very favorites, the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg, Russia, which served as the official residence of Russian emperors from 1732 to 1917, when the Russian Revolution began. The palace and its precincts are known in the modern day as the Hermitage or Hermitage Museum. The green and white palace has the shape of an elongated rectangle, and its principal facade is very long at 820 feet and 98 feet high, and it contains over 645,000, almost 650,000 square feet of floor space. And you'll be glad to hear that the museum is home to rare Rembrandts, Da Vinci's, Michelangelo's, and Picasso's. Plus, it's the home of ancient art from Greece, Italy, Rome, and China. Believe me, there is something for everybody in this museum. Its displays are endless. It would take weeks, if not months, to get through to see all of them, and that's no exaggeration. Here we have an interesting castle, the Aragonese Castle. It stands on a volcanic rocky islet in the Bay of Naples, near Naples, Italy. Fortunately for the tourists who are curious about this castle on the rock, the 3rd generation of the Matera family now takes care of the castle, guaranteeing the public access 365 days of the year. They carry out any necessary maintenance and restoration work and promote cultural events which bring the castle to life. I just think that's a wonderful service they're doing for this ancient structure. Visiting palaces and castles in Europe is such a gigantic treat for me. These magnificent structures are absolutely exquisite on the inside and out. The sheer grandeur of some of them takes one's breath away. The priceless artwork these famous residents have on display, the striking beauty of their interiors, the exquisite architectural styles, and the exquisite gardens surrounding each one are just the most gorgeous, most beautiful, interesting sights imaginable. How fascinating it is to me to enjoy a glimpse into the lifestyles of so many famous people from so many centuries past. How they conceived and originally built these incredible structures is just full of wonder for me. They are just so opulent and so grand, and that's really an understatement. But we are as fortunate as we can be to have visited them for a glimpse of a lifestyle long ago gone.